turns red, and we're live. There we go.
Oh,
Now we're
are?
live.
Now you're live.
Yep, 100%. So, hey,
Hey.
thank you for coming on. I don't know if you saw past episodes where I spoke on how I don't really do all that. Like, welcome to episode number 14 of the Fiber. I stopped doing that. I stopped doing that. The reason why is
Why?
it's just more organic this way. You know, people appreciate authenticity and realness in a world of like all these plastic shows and highly produced, you know, whatever it is, TED Talks, and like even TED Talks put, you know, all that music and intros or whatever. So just starting off the video of like us just talking,
yes.
people kind
As
of feel
natural as it
like
can
they're
be.
a part of it. It's like, oh, you know, weirdly feel connected to these two people, human beings talking. But yeah, so thank you for coming on, and
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for your patience too, because I was telling Manuela.
I did not have patience. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just done.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
I'm just done. That's what she said. Yeah.
Shout out to Michael Scott.
Shout out to Michael Scott. He's been a huge inspiration for everything I've done in my life.
That's what she said.
That's what she said, and she's gonna keep saying that the whole episode. So
that's what she said.
Exactly. So she's just gonna keep doing it.
I am. I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry, but
no, it's fine. So what made you
let's go
accept, I guess, this invite? Because you know, it's kind of random. It's kind of because I've never received an invite to like a podcast, for example. So I can only imagine how the guests kind of feel.
I don't think any of your friends ever had the idea of creating a podcast channel.
Yeah.
So you have that.
Yeah. Why do you think that is though? Like, why do you think nobody, I don't know, took that step yet?
Because not everyone has the same vision, especially being brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Your circumstances, they are very different from anyone else that's around you.
Mm-hmm.
So I strongly believe that like things happen for a reason in your life, so you could be this man of vision,
Mm-hmm.
and this man who sees differently and wants to expand and reach to the top, because you don't see many people like that.
Yeah.
With vision.
With vision, yeah. There's this really great quote. I forget who says it. It's basically everybody can see, like most people can see, but few have vision. So you can like seeing and having vision is different.
Yeah, it's different.
You know, it's not the same thing. But it's funny because to me, the whole podcast thing was just a no-brainer. It was kind of like, because I consume podcasts every single day, all day. So I'm always plugged in. I always have an AirPod in my ear, and people
just
say
listening
like,
to.
yeah, and then people will see me with like AirPods, and then like my friends will kind of like, you know, say like, oh, look at him, he's all bougie or whatever. Like, oh, like he always
you're broke.
It's like, oh, like he's too good for us, whatever. But it's not. No. All jokes aside, it's just that's my main source of higher education, kind of. So yeah, it's just like business podcasts, psychology, fighting. Technology,
I was never
everything.
really into podcasts
Mm-hmm.
up until I got to college. That was when I realized I need to step up my game if I want to stand out, if I want to truly be an outlier, and if I want to not only be good for myself but impact others and the way they see me.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I think it's really interesting about me is that sometimes I do not care about what people think, but part of me still do care about what people think. So me educating myself and pursuing higher education, and the more you know, the more interesting you become.
100%.
So that's not only for me, but that's for also how people
around you.
Yeah.
And you end up attracting better. So if you do better, you attract better.
If you do better, everything is just better.
Your circles change, you know, constantly. You lose friendships, you establish new ones, you burn bridges, you build new bridges. That has been literally the story of my whole life. It's like just losing friends and making new ones, because I'm always going.
Yeah,
like,
you're
I'm
always evolving and growing.
I'm just stuck on this speed that I can't really control. It's just who I am. It's just like I can't, like I'll, like if I have a friend who, you know, I love dearly or whatever, I'll try to help him or her, you know, give them that boost and try to like do everything I can. But you can't force a horse to drink the water. Like you can, you know, guide a horse to water, but
you
you
can
can't
only do
force
so
it to
much
drink.
for someone.
Yeah. So you could like help as much as you can, but it comes from each person. It comes from
It comes from within.
Yeah.
Who says it? Gandhi, I think. Change comes from within.
Be the change that you want to see in the world too.
Be the change you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think Gandhi says that. The change comes from within. No, but he does say that.
Let's Google it. That's why we have Google.
That be the change that you want to see.
Yeah, be the change.
No, Google. Change comes from within. I don't know who says that, but I think that's really interesting. That's a very important.
My barber says that too.
Joke.
Jokes. Change comes from within by becoming the man.
Oh, it's
the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, I knew it was some important figure.
Some smart guy.
Oh my god, can you crop this? Because I sound dumb as hell right now.
Look, listen. That's the whole thing about this podcast. Like, it's again, we started this by talking about how produced it is, right? So if I were to tell you how many times I'm like editing an episode and I'll see myself saying like 10,000 times in the same sentence, and I feel
worst thing is that you don't even notice when you're using it.
You don't notice it. And then now I'm becoming more self-aware. So with each episode, I'm like policing myself. And I just said like right now. So then so right now I'm basically trying to, all right, so if I said it now, then I can say it in a few sentences in the future, but like not overdo it. Again, like not overdo it. So it's something that it's something that comes from habit. So it's a already developed evil kind of, but then you can do your best to kind of curate it and cure yourself from that ignorance. So it starts from self-awareness. So how many times I've been editing and I'll just see a whole 5 minutes that I'll just cringe like crazy. But now I could, just like, but really bad though, like not right. Again, it's hard not to say it.
Yeah, I find it funny how we started this conversation talking about like podcasts.
Yeah.
And how you came about to do it. And it's not only beneficial for others who are watching, but for yourself. You grow so much talking it out. And then when you edit it, you listen to it again. And then you see so many things that you don't realize when you're doing it. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
You know, like for college, for my school, we have to record ourselves. The elevator pitch is a 30-minute pitch where you talk about yourself.
Yep.
I can't sit and watch those 30 seconds of myself speaking.
You just cringe.
I just cringe. I just like do once and send it.
And then don't even look at it.
I don't even look at it because it's so cringy. I can't bring myself to sit down and listen to myself talking for more than 30 seconds. It's weird.
Very hard, and you can't do it for 30 seconds. I'm forced to do it for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it gets to a point, for example, you said that this is good for me as well. I like to think of this as a selfish thing in terms of it gives me the opportunity to sit down and connect with people that I wouldn't otherwise. So it gives me that excuse of like reaching out to someone and saying, hey, do you want to be on a podcast? Do you want to like sit down for 3 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour and just talk and just connect and just engage? I spoke on this on the last episode with Victor, how I just hate the plasticity of social media. I just hate it. I hate the idea of, that's why I'm so bad at DMs and messaging. But the thing is like
you can't just be on one side of the spectrum. You have to analyze the entire thing because people are making money out of that.
Oh yeah.
And even though it may be like fake plastic, but people are making money. That's a real business.
Yeah. Again, it's comes back to self-awareness. So it's understanding I have a certain take on it, but I do understand the other side of the coin. Like I understand that, for example, this podcast, I have to advertise it. I have to market it, to grow it, do everything I can to make it something that will benefit other people and reach more people and as many people as possible. For me to do that, I have to be present on social media. Like I have to, post as much as I can, and so I will do that.
You have to be out there.
You have to. So I consider myself, despite what people might think or any presumptions, like I consider myself a very introverted person, like very reserved.
Well, except on Twitter.
except on Twitter, like you didn't have to say that, but keep it our little secret. But
except on Twitter.
On Twitter, yeah. See, but Twitter is your
escape.
That's a good topic. Yeah, Twitter to me has always been a personal journal. When I go on Twitter, I don't think that anybody else is listening or
to see
seeing anything. I'll go on there if I'm pissed, if I feel on top of the world,
so
egotistic.
Twitter, it's like your therapist.
It's my personal therapist, yeah.
But the therapist doesn't speak to you back.
It doesn't.
So it's you speaking to yourself.
So it's self-therapy.
So it's a self-therapy that you do through an app.
Yeah.
Where a bunch of people is actually seeing what you're doing.
Yeah, and it stays saved on the internet.
But do you think that's the best thing?
It's not.
That's the best
No.
therapy you can get?
It's not, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, because this podcast allows me to kind of get everything I need out so that I don't have to tweet as much. So if you notice, literally, so if you noticed, why is my dog? My dog's making noise. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But anyways.
I can hear it.
Yeah, so if you notice, ever since I picked the show back up, I've been tweeting less. And that goes back to self-awareness. I just don't feel like tweeting anymore because I get everything I need to get out on an episode, and then I kind of just cleanse myself and cleanse.
I think it's very interesting how you have that approach towards Twitter as a therapy kind of deal. For me, it's my I'd like to say dumb bitch hours, because I just literally post whatever comes to my mind, unfiltered, and as raw as it gets. Like between midnight and 6 a.m, that's like my worst hour. I just go in there and do the bull.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
No, but I feel like it's necessary though, because if you can't find escapism anywhere, then you're fucked, right? So everybody has that escape valve, and that's why I feel Twitter is a very good and bad place. Yeah. If you go there and you take everything seriously, for example. So if you
can't take stuff serious.
So if I were to judge you based on the person you are from 12 to 6 a.m., then, it's
I would be
different.
Screwed.
You would be screwed. But the good thing is that it's kind of
We're more
understood.
than that. Everyone's more than that.
It's kind of understood.
Yes.
So people on Twitter understand, like when
I just feel like everyone on Twitter is just like on the same boat.
On the same level of humor kind of too,
of
right?
Humor,
yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's together on it. But at the same time, you also have all of those social justice warriors and people who...
I don't follow those. I mean, I follow like some of those, but when I go on Twitter, that's not my focus. My focus is to
people who
just laugh it out,
just relax and just enjoy the ride. Just
enjoy the ride.
Just fucking enjoy the ride. But Twitter, that's
like after like a stressful day, just go on it, like sit down and like see just the funny things.
Yeah. That just memes and stuff.
People are so creative, man. Yeah. I looked at memes, not only American memes, but like Brazilian memes. People are so creative. I wonder where it comes from.
Yeah.
I wish I had that creativity to put out
That's a good question.
Funny content.
Yeah.
Whenever like a current event happens. It's just insane. It really fascinates me.
Almost instantly, right?
Yes.
Almost instantly.
I wonder like who are the creators of memes?
Yeah. I think the creators of these memes and everything, I do believe that you have to be kind of immersed in that space,
atmosphere, kind of,
in a sense where it becomes very unhealthy, I believe. So I think the most creative people on social media, they probably aren't the most healthiest, because in order for you to stay up to date with everything that's going on, so if Trump did something and you're going to be one of the first to make a meme or make a political charge out of it, you have to be on top of your game. So it's almost like you're a incessant journalist or news reporter that just never sleeps. It's like always there. So that goes, again, my relationship with social media is I'll go on, do whatever I need to do, post, brand, advertise, and then I'm out. So I'm in it and I'm out. There are people who go in and then they just lose themselves in there, and then they post and then they just see, let's see what Becky's doing, let's see whatever. I've been that person before, but I can't do that anymore. It's just it. I see no appeal. Like I won't look at anybody's story. Like very rarely I'll click on somebody's story. And then same thing with DMs. I rarely check DMs. I rarely open that box. It's always on 20, 25, something like that. And people think it's ego. Like people think, he's too good to respond.
No, you're just doing that for yourself.
It's just I can't.
Yes, it's completely
I can't explain
understandable. Plus, it's just Instagram. If someone wants to talk to you,
just call me or meet me personally. Eventually, Fiber will be up and running, so you can stop by, swing by.
See. I agree. I think it's interesting that we're talking about that. I think I've been saying I think it's interesting for like the past 20 minutes, but okay. My mom wanted me to become a social influencer on Instagram.
Oh yeah, you told me about it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's a dream of hers. I don't think I'm I have like the tough skin needed to deal with what people have to say that's against what I'm doing. I don't think I have the tough skin for that just yet.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
But she wanted to invest money. She wanted to reach out to platforms that could like reach me to the whole nother level on Instagram and reach followers and reach people and just to put out content for them. But then again, that's a dream of hers. I don't think I could do that. I could keep up with that. I am a very like how do I say that word? Extroverted. However, the older I get, the more I realize that's more important to stay to yourself than to be out there. So this, like, the fact that she wants me to do something that if she had proposed a while ago, I would say yes, like I'm 100% in. But now that I'm older, it's just no. I would rather be like stay to myself and avoid listening to what people have to say.
Yeah.
To listen to negativity. I've recently, before I used to take that stuff to the heart.
And you can't.
But now, like,
can't do that.
you know, what the eyes don't see, the heart doesn't feel, right? So
But there's truth to that, because again, it's a huge paradox, because if you want to build a brand, you have to engage with your audience.
Yeah, that's your case. You have to.
I need to engage with people, but
and you need to be able to relate to all types of people.
Yeah. But like my solution to that has been that, like, through this podcast, I want to be able to connect to certain people, and then through word of mouth, people will think about it. Joe Rogan. Do you know Joe Rogan?
No.
So he's just the most popular podcaster. He's very successful, UFC commentator, entrepreneur, everything. His podcast is the most successful one on the planet. He has more than, I think he's on 1,100 episodes.
And what is his content? I've never...
It's literally this. So this show is inspired on his platform, because he served as one of my main teachers, life teachers. Most of everything I know, I've learned and picked up from his show, from him interviewing specialists, doctors, fitness people, everything. So he, just like you said, he's able to relate to everybody, and he proves it by having anybody on the show. So he has politicians, athletes, everybody and anybody that you can think of. Yeah. And then, so basically, if you want to get to know Joe Rogan, you go on his podcast. And damn it, my dog is howling so much right now.
Do you want to pause and go check on him?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, go do that.
Damn it. And I would think that someone would check on him.
Oh, he's a little upset. Yeah. I think he just wants to be here with us.
All right, guys. He
wants to be on Fiber.
I'm going to take a quick break. Just go check on my dog, Shadow. For those of you who don't know, I have a dog. So be back.
Very cute, by the way.
Thank you. All right, guys, and we are back. My dog, he's just crying. Yeah, he's a little puppy.
Shaking my head.
He's, it's
he just
all
wants
part
attention.
of the process.
He's like a girl.
Attention. Yeah.
He wants attention. He wants to be part of the process here.
Don't call my dog a girl.
I'm kidding. No, I didn't call him a girl. I
said he's like a girl. Okay.
That's a comparison.
Comparison. What's that quote?
It's a metaphor.
Comparison does not equal causation. Never mind.
I mean, we have Google right there.
Causation equals. Yeah. Comparison is the thief of joy. That's the quote I was looking for. Comparison is the thief of joy. Right?
That doesn't apply here.
It doesn't apply here. Yep. So I don't know why I brought that up.
It doesn't apply here.
But anyways,
it's okay.
So before the break, we were talking about
the podcast which inspired you to create FiberCast.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So just finishing that whole thought process. So what I was getting to with the whole Joe Rogan example is that with more than 1,000 episodes, you have a catalog of who he is. So his life, like his thought process. If you watch 100 episodes, you'll get to know who he really is. So there's no point. For example, he's not active on social media, and he still managed to have this huge platform and audience because of the value that he gives during those episodes and interviews. Yeah. So that's where I want to get to eventually, where I don't really have to worry about, engaging and just connecting with my audience, because he's at a point where he's just so busy and he's putting out so much content that people are okay with that. Mm-hmm. He doesn't go on Instagram and respond to comments and shit. He's too big for that. It's just whatever. But yeah, so that's my goal with this podcast. It's like, if you want to get to know me,
watch the podcast.
Eventually, just watch the podcast episodes, and you'll get to know who I am really.
Well, Kelly, I just want to thank you once again for having me here and be part of the
my pleasure
of the process.
And thank you for coming and
this is really exciting, even though I'm pretty nervous.
Yeah, but it's normal.
It's normal. It's the process.
It's normal, and the whole idea of just having a free flow of conversation. For example, just bringing up the fact, like, starting off the episode, you'll notice that most guests aren't very comfortable. Like they'll mess up, they'll, say certain things that they don't, but
I felt that.
It's all a part, that they think they messed up, right? Because it's all about perception. It's like you perceive yourself being one way, so you want,
You don't want people to see yourself
that way.
Yeah.
So, but that's just fear of vulnerability, which is natural, especially when you're being exposed. So it's just a natural human instinct where you don't want to be vulnerable in front of strangers and people, and especially since you're in a new space and a new environment, so you're very kind of
have your guard up.
100%. So that's normal, but with a conversation like this, it's just necessary to accept that, and
that is true,
and just free flow. It's like you're not going to get it perfect. The first 5 or 10 episodes I did, I still suck at it, right? But I'm learning as I go.
You don't suck
to
at
articulate.
It. Come on, you're
not
too shabby.
No, yeah, but just like learning how to articulate thoughts and how to convey messages and how to, it's
a process.
A learning process, like anything else in life. Yeah. And then we were talking about traveling.
Yes.
So you said that 1 year ago today you were living your best life.
I was in Rome, living my best life, visiting everywhere.
Oh, that's what's up.
Actually, this is really interesting because one of my closest friends is in Rome right now.
Okay.
And he went to the Vatican City just yesterday. And I brought up to him the fact that I don't believe that everything that's been displayed in the museums in the Vatican City are real. I believe that the real thing is somewhere else. It's not exposed to the public, because if it's the real thing, why is it that easily exposed to everyone?
Yeah.
For example, the only place there where they emphasize the protection of the art piece is in the Sistine Chapel.
And how do they do that?
You can't take pictures. You can't use the flash, because the flashlight may damage.
Yeah, of course.
The painting may damage.
Photons and
you can't take pictures. You can't. And then they have a glass on the wall up until like where man can reach. Like you
reach. Yeah.
Reach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you don't touch the wall, you don't touch anything. So that's like the only place they emphasize its protection. So
how do they monitor people from taking pictures?
Oh, they have cops. They have the cops. They have cameras around.
Oh wow!
And then there's this guy with a microphone, like yelling, like no pictures, no pictures.
So he'll scream at you.
He will scream at you, and not only that, like if he catches you, he can even like get your
kick
phone.
You out.
Yeah, kick you out.
Wow.
So, and he got really he was bugging out on me because that trip was like a dream of his. And then I pretty much crushed it, saying that stuff is not real.
It's like the only reason he was going there.
Yeah, just to see the basilica and everything. And then I go, I don't think that's real.
So what makes you think that? Do you think it's because...
I think it's, historically speaking, if it's so valuable...
Why would it be so accessible?
So not only accessible, but like so exposed to the public and to the damage that can come with the exposure.
I can see that. Yeah.
It's a little controversial though. I've been into this type of a controversial topics. Yeah. I
can see that though. I can see how, but I mean, you can look at it from various different perspectives or angles. I'm a huge art connoisseur.
Yes, I've noticed that.
I love art. I love analyze. I'll sit here and just watch YouTube videos of my favorite YouTubers just analyzing it in depth. Historical analysis. Columbia University was analyzing the School of Athens recently, and I just tuned in. But it's just so to me, looking from an artistic standpoint,
I sent you the picture that you said. I want to go to this place today. Yeah.
School of Athens, which is one of my favorite. There's actually a book somewhere over there. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Plato and Aristotle.
Well,
Like
for
they-
example, that painting, you can really reach because it's almost like in the ceiling of one of the churches, one of like the corridors,
the
the halls that you.
library. It's called.
It's not within the library. It's within like the Vatican City.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's in a big hall that you go through in order to get to the Sistine Chapel.
Okay.
So
okay.
it doesn't have anything in the room. It's just
Yeah.
like paintings on the ceiling.
Yeah, it's called Stanza della Signatura, I think.
You know your time.
Yeah, no, yeah, that, yeah. So, for example, so looking from, I guess if you're gonna, I don't know, yeah, it is kind of tricky like that.
It is. I just crushed my friend's dreams.
Yeah, because the whole idea of art is to be exposed, right? It's to be
But if
admired.
something that holds a very
value, historical value.
historical value, why is it exposed that easily? How is it so? It can be damaged. It can be people can touch it.
But
so if it's so valuable, why is it so easy to
Mm-hmm. But I feel like that adds on to the whole beauty of it. It's kind of for example, that church that recently burned down,
Notre Dame.
Everything went with it, right? So it's a historical landmark. All of the artwork that was inside, every sculpture, it's gone. I feel like that only adds on to the value of it. So the more vulnerable and precious it is, and I don't know. I think that the vulnerability of looking at David's statue and he's right there and you could just throw your shoe at it, that just adds on to the whole mysticism of the experience. So you're walking in and you see David standing there. Of course, there's a certain distance between you and him. Like it's not like he's not accessible to you, but you could throw something at him. You can throw an iPhone and chip his nose and chip something. Mm-hmm. But that just, to me, it just adds
for example,
on.
if it's so valuable, why is it so easy to be reached? When I went to the Louvre Museum, Louvre, I can't even pronounce it, Louvre Museum.
Louvre,
yeah, in Paris, the Mona Lisa painting is smaller than Michael Scott's portrait right there.
Yeah,
and it's within like a glass window.
And just crowded with people.
No, and not only that, there's like a certain distance around that they put ropes, so you can't like even come like a certain distance
too close to it.
Yeah, and like that's like the only painting that they put so much emphasis
on.
Yeah, and like protecting.
Yeah, and I've read somewhere that the distance is calculated to so if you take a picture from any angle, your flash won't reach the picture.
It's disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very anticlimactic.
It's so disappointing.
That's what she said.
Oh my god. Well, that's what she said.
Yeah, but no, yeah, it's. But is it disappointing though? Because to me, it's kind of more ironic. Because art to me is irony, just like life. It imitates life, and life imitates art, vice versa. It's the irony of it. Of us praising these icons and these paintings and these statues. And then once you meet and you see them up close and personal, there's just that moment of, oh shit, like it humanizes it. So it makes it real. So the whole idea of, Mona Lisa, basically it's marketing. It's just, it's marketed, it's overrated for sure.
It is
to a certain extent, but there is value there though. And then the true appreciators of the art will understand that value, and they'll understand and see all those people crowded around Mona Lisa and say, oh, I understand why. But then they'll wait until the crowd moves, and then they'll go up closer and actually analyze it for the parts that it needs to be analyzed. So people go to the Louvre and they see Mona Lisa, because they want to flex on their friends or take pictures of it.
Flex on their
and
friends.
Just like say like, yo, me and Mona, whatever. But they'll do that because of social media.
They went there and they saw it.
Because of marketing. So they're induced by marketing. So a lot of art is
status.
So you can look at it as status, social status, investment, and just pure art. So when you look at it as pure art, and you're able to look at it in all three formats. But once you get to pure art, like that's when you'll actually see the idea behind it. You study what the artist was thinking, during the time, the historical aspects that was going on, and just all that stuff. So it's, you know, like you could go very deep into like small pieces of, yeah. And I've just always been fascinated by the idea of like how much story is behind one piece. It's like,
Yeah, I in high school I took my AP literature class, and not only did we get to read important books in romanticism and study romanticism, we also got to analyze art, like romantic art, and we got to understand like the meaning of the color, the meaning of the position of the person in the picture,
lighting,
the meaning of the lighting, the meaning of every single detail.
Yeah.
I think that is so fascinating how you can get so much from one
piece.
piece.
And everybody can get a different, it's almost
you can study the sublime aspect, the complexity, and the paradox of the picture. And these are all terms that I had never heard of, and now it's on my vocabulary.
Yeah,
because I learned through studying art and literature.
Yep. And to me, I'll view a painting as a opportunity to like feast, kind of. So it's almost as if you're walking down a Chinese buffet and you're with your friends. Everybody's gonna have a different plate at the end, right? So you're walking down and you're picking different things, and you'll get a slice of pizza, chicken wings, sushi, whatever. Everybody's gonna have a different plate at the end. So it's all about perspective. So I consider myself I self-diagnose myself as being as being an over-analytical person, in a sense where, but not to terms where I'm able to control it, right? But if I just let it go, I'll look at, I don't know, like this globe, and I'll start analyzing and seeing things that most people kind of overlook because I keep searching for it. So I'll look at it.
If you search for it, then you'll find it.
Yeah. But the irony of searching for something too, sometimes it's like, sometimes you have to stop searching because is
it worth it? What are you going to find?
Maybe you'll find something that you don't want to find. So the irony of searching is that you might find something that you don't want to find.
That you don't want to see, yes.
Yeah. So that's something that I've learned too over time, and that's why I'm, taming it.
And I just think that's so fascinating how you said that, like with art and then to an object, and how that goes back to life. Itself.
Because life imitates art and art imitates life. Yeah. So it's all about perspective too.
It's all intertwined.
It's all intertwined. It's all related.
And connected. Yes.
It's like a reflection. So it's like thinking a human made that, and then trying to understand what that human was thinking.
Going through the mind of that person.
Yeah. And that translates to, I know that you're a huge Kim Kardashian fan, right? And we'll get into that. So that goes into Kanye West, right?
And who you are a huge fan of.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Kanye West to a point where I spent more than I should have on shoes, right? And I'll be the first to admit that.
Let me tell you something. Me too.
Me too. That's what she said. That's literally what she said. Okay.
That's what she said.
Me too. Okay. Yeah. I spent, but to me, it's more so like there's more meaning behind it. So again, there's marketing, right? And there's investment, and there's pure art. So I viewed it as pure art, and that's my main attraction to it. So it's just,
Two Yeezys?
Yeezys, yeah, literally. I'm just fascinated by, his whole stick, like, his whole ideology, his whole vision, his whole way of...
I recently heard that he wants to start profiting off the Sunday service that he hosts.
He wants to start profiting?
Profiting off of that.
How?
He's
gonna start charging people?
Yeah, open to the public and start charging as if... But I don't know if that's true. But even if it is true, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, because if it is, then...
Because that's a religious... I mean... Okay, we live in a capitalist world. We need money. We need the inflow of cash and everything. Yeah. But then it goes kind of against what Kanye preaches.
Yeah.
Which is make art.
Yeah. I can see that. Like, if it's true, my interpretation is that maybe he's... For example, let's say that you have an exclusive club, right? It's you and your 5 friends. And you guys do things that are very valuable to each other. You know, like you guys are very faithful. For example, he's at his Sunday services. You know, for him, it's therapy. It's connecting with God. It's being with his family. It's all these things. And I feel like he wants to give people that same feeling. But how are you going to monitor that? Like, how are you going to, I guess, filter? For example, let's say that he offers tickets, but they're kind of expensive or they're very limited. So then he kind of wants to take religion and kind of give it to people to try it out, if that makes any sense.
It does.
So he's trying to I guess he's just he's putting a monetary price tag just to motivate people to come in, but motivate the right people. So, for example, with his shoes, like, not everybody can afford his shoes, right? For example, so there are certain shoes that, you know, not everybody can afford. So only those people that either want to, you know, flip it, make money off of it, or actually appreciate him for his artistry are going to, you know, pay that dollar amount.
Then.
Yeah. So that kind of limits it and creates that sense of scarcity, that sense of, just limited. So whatever's limited, people
whatever's
want
limited is
more.
valuable.
Yeah. People want more.
Well, I'm not as much fan of Kanye as much as I am of Kim. Kim and Chris, the mastermind behind a show.
She has a genius, not just a show, but
Behind
all of their careers.
Their name.
Yeah.
The name
brand.
is a brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the mastermind behind how, like, the upbringing. My mom and I, we've been following up, like, keeping up with them, keeping up with the Kardashians.
Yep.
Since, like, 2010. We were still in Brazil.
Oh, shit.
And we would watch it every Tuesday on E with the subtitles.
Subtitles? Yeah.
In Portuguese.
Oh, really?
So we kind of, like, saw some people believe that they're not real, like that's all, like, staged. But even if you watch, you can see, like, the evolution that they go through as they go on with the show. You can see how much they grow, how much they change over time, and how much not only, like, themselves but the people around them and how, like, those people impact them. For example, Kim with Kanye today is a whole different Kim
from back in the day.
From Chris.
From the sex tape.
Not only from the sex tape, like with Chris. What's his last name? The basketball player. Humphrey. Is it Humphrey?
Thompson.
No, another name. Thompson. That's Tristan.
Tristan Thompson.
That's Tristan.
Kim, is it?
Kim. Before she was with Kanye, she was married.
Oh yeah.
With Chris, something with age.
Not Chris Tucker.
Chris Age, and they were married for like 72 days or something.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting to see how the evolution of the character and their persona, if it's a stage or not, but you can still see the evolution, and I think that's really makes it relatable because you see their vulnerability, and it also connects to the whole idea of the podcast, seeing the raw material of people.
Yeah.
And Chloe's cheating scandal being exposed on the show being so public, that also shows how her vulnerability about being cheated on, you know, when she was still pregnant, to the entire world, and being open to so many critics and so many different opinions that
the whole world
felt like they had a say in her relationship and her decision.
Yeah.
So, like, this vulnerability that they market is what makes it profitable and entertainable, because people feed off other people's vulnerability.
Why do you think that happens? Like, why do you think? Because it's interesting how
I can't believe I'm so passionate about the Kardashians.
No, but
what am I?
But it is interesting though, and even I can appreciate them for what they've done. Like, I've spoken on this before. Marketing wise, they're geniuses.
Yeah, marketing.
They're very smart.
Wise, yeah, it's very
because
profitable.
what they've managed to do is they've managed to get mundane and day-to-day things and tasks and make them entertaining.
Well, we have makeup. We have Kylie's makeup. We have Kim's makeup. We have Kim's body thing. We have now her body shaping thing.
I don't know.
Yeah. So they're like using these like daily things that people are learning to depend on.
Yeah.
And they're making so much money off of that.
But I feel like what they do with those products is they
put their personality in it.
their
People want their
personality
personality, yeah.
sells it, right? But people want to be them. They want to replicate.
By the way, people think I look like Kourtney Kardashian. Just saying.
Courtney is the
most annoying one.
It's the oldest one, right?
The oldest one.
Yeah, the smallest one.
Yeah. Just saying.
Just say. But
that's what she said.
But yeah. So I think that people want to replicate them to an extent where, but that's
everyone looks the same.
Everybody looks the same. But the
slick
problem,
hair,
the
lips, the
nose
nose,
jobs or whatever,
the eyebrows.
But the only problem is not problem. It's what they figured out is that they go through all these plastic surgeries, all these reconfigurations, unnatural reconfigurations, and they sell it as being something achievable. So I touched on this
to the normal people,
to the normal housewife or the normal
average Joe,
college girl, literally that. So if you buy Kylie cosmetics, you'll look like Kylie. But Kylie, if you get a picture from her, I don't know, like when they started the show to now, it's just two different people. It's a different person to me. Like that's not the same person. That's not the same human being. Obviously it is, but it's just so it's not just the lip gloss. It's not just
the
something.
Entire image. Her features.
Yeah, but they're smart to an extent where they're like, all right, so you want to look like this, we're going to sell you a possibility and make it seem as if it's possible.
Not
it's
only
attainable.
the possibility, they're going to sell you the illusion.
The illusion, perception.
Yeah, the perception that they can look like them if they buy
but it's
what
all
they're putting out there.
Bullshit.
It's
all bullshit.
I have her lipsticks. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, but I know a lot of, like, most girls do, right? And they get caught up in that trance. But then once you take a step back and then you rationalize it and then you're like, oh, she went through multiple surgeries. You know
something that's really interesting about me? I never went through like phases to like, the emo phase or the rebel phase or,
You've always been you.
I've always been me. I'm like trying to figure out my personality, like trying to figure out who I am.
Rock music phase. Or
never went through any of that. I've been the same. It even gets to a point that it can be seen as like boring because I didn't
have those experiences.
No, I was just like a flat line of
monotone.
Just being me. Like I never went through like, I want to be just like her.
Yeah.
I want to be just like that. Like no, it was me like learning to be comfortable with who I am, and that's it.
But that probably comes from your upbringing, right? So your mom kind of instilled that in you.
Well, my mom gives no fucks about anything. So she is who she is, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. So you probably picked that up from her, yeah.
Yes.
So because is your mom married? Like, do you live with your dad too? Or?
No, they're divorced. So it's just me and my mom.
So she's always been your male figure as well, right?
Yeah, my mom, my female and male figure.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So maybe that's what happens because they say that.
Maybe that's what I've learned, like to be enough. Like she's enough for me. She's my best friend. Yeah. I don't need anyone else in the world. She's my partner in crime and in life. We live together, and I don't plan on moving out until I get married. And even if I do get married, she's coming with me. Yeah,
but that happens.
She is enough, and like the sense of like being enough that she has passed on to me is how I've learned to look at myself as. I am enough.
So it's kind of contagious, right? Like
it is.
You emulate that. Yeah. I can see that happening. Like I can see why, for example, like I have the same case with my mom and my sister, like she's very like strong, independent, like from a very young age, and she's always been like that. Mainly I guess because she's seen my mom and my mom has always been that. Yeah. But single moms, they have to be like they're forced to be strong because they have no other choice but to be strong.
An interesting example that I have, I keep saying interesting. Just cut that.
I'm not cutting anything. This is
Come
all.
on.
I'm
a little nervous in my defense.
No,
I'm nervous.
It's natural.
No, I'm not. I just keep saying interesting. I don't know. That's my word, I guess.
You'll eventually get used to it.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Very good.
Uninteresting. No, I'm kidding.
Interesting.
Another fact that I found really cool about my upbringing is that we also have my grandma to look up to. My grandma, she used to live in the farm in Brazil. She was the second oldest daughter. At 5 years old, she had to cook, and she has 12 siblings. So she had to cook, she had to help in the house, she had to work in the farm and all that. And then when she was 18, she decided to leave the farm with her aunt against her dad's will to pursue her life because she wasn't about to stay in the farm for the rest of her life.
And then she went into the city.
Then she went to the city, to Goiânia, which is where I'm from and which is where you are from.
Yeah.
What a small world.
Yeah.
So when she moved to the city, she got a job at a telecommunication company. And she stayed at the job until she retired. She never had a different job.
Wow.
And what is like the most interesting part of this for me is that my grandma, when she was 30 years old, she decided that she wanted to have a daughter. And she didn't want to get married or establish like a happy family.
Yeah.
She just wanted a daughter for herself so she wouldn't be alone. So what she did was, she got pregnant randomly.
Randomly? Okay.
She never.
Does that work?
She never reached out to the male figure. She raised my mom by herself. She was enough.
Wow.
Even like my mom only met her father when she was like 11.
Damn.
And then she only got his last name when she was 18. So my grandma never really how can I say it? She never really wanted that male presence in the life. She never needed that. And that's because of her upbringing, seeing her father being like mean to the daughters and like always leaning towards the guy side instead of the girl side. So what I'm trying to say with all this is that my grandma was enough. My mom is like learned to be enough from her experience.
And now you're learning from your mom.
Well, I'm a little scared because I do want to get married, but having this influence on me of like, I am enough. Like I don't need anyone to be me, to be successful, to be independent. It's kind of like passing on to me, you know? So it all comes from my grandma. It all started from her. Like and mind you, that was like in the 80s. She was like this whole independent woman working full time, having a daughter by herself, sustaining the house, the daughter. And mind you, my mom wasn't the easiest going child. So like being enough, it's something that's been brought up to not only being enough, but
it's just always been around,
like independent and being like who I am. For me, it's been around since I was born.
And I can see what you mean by that in a sense where you're trying to convince yourself that it's okay to, you know, maybe get married, for example, right? And
no, that's just like a side fear that I have that I just brought it up.
But it does tie in though, because I don't know, because I've thought about this before. I've thought about the whole idea of, you know, like, does true love exist? Does unconditional love exist? Like, how?
Oh, it's hot girl summer. I don't care about that.
No.
I'm kidding.
Twitter's all full of that too. It's
honestly, it's hot girl summer. I can't wait for hot girl fall.
Hot girl.
I'm kidding.
Hot girl fall. It's just always a hot girl.
It's season. Hot girl all year long.
But
I'm completely joking.
No, it's fine. But that's the whole thing though. It's kind of, is it possible nowadays? And my opinion on that is like, you should be independent. Will Smith said this very beautifully once. He said that him and his wife have a very independent relationship. His wife does her own things and she's responsible for her own happiness. And he's responsible for his happiness. And then they don't rely on each other for happiness. Like that's because that comes from within. So if it comes from within, I completely agree. Yeah. So if you're happy with yourself and your partner's happy, you guys are going to flourish and have a much better relationship as opposed to like me depending on her for. Yeah.
There's a saying. It goes like this. Don't walk behind me, for I may not lead anywhere. Or don't walk in front of me, for I may not follow you. But walk beside me and be my friend. Yeah. So like that's you know, just be my equal partner.
And it is what it is.
Be my friend.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. It's just, you shouldn't, you know, be dependent on anybody, I don't think. Whether you're female, male, whatever you are, you should never be reliant.
Also like I've changed a lot in terms of that because I used to view marriage, especially coming from Goiânia, you know how people are over there. coming from
very traditional,
very traditional to
old-fashioned.
get married and to be below your husband.
Here too, like here, well, here it's changing a little bit.
I wasn't brought up here, so I can't speak much.
Yeah.
But seeing, and I even see like a lot of my mom's friend, they're so like below their husbands. They can only do certain things. They have like so many limitations because of their marriage.
Yeah.
And because that the husband has
the income.
Yeah. Not only the income itself, like has like more income than she does, so he gets to say more than she does.
Yeah.
And up until I would say 2 years ago, I was setting myself up for that, like prepping myself for that type of mentality. You know, like, okay, so if I want to have a husband, I need to be like this. I need to do this. I need to follow this. But then, like, it is not like that. That is so not what I want.
That's very antiquated.
It is. Yeah. And I'm like, that's like the best thing about like college and experience thing is being exposed to so many like different thoughts and different people and different cultures and like this whole diversity of things in front of me, is that it has changed the way I perceive
surroundings.
I process marriage, I process relationships, the way I process friendships. Thank God, honestly. I just, this being able to be exposed to all these information is such a blessing to me, because it opens my eyes to things that I never thought I'd be able to see before.
That you would overlook before.
I would overlook. It gives me the vision that I couldn't see before. I could see, but I couldn't see. But I couldn't.
But you didn't have vision.
Yeah.
No, that, like, you just basically summed it up. It is about acquiring new experiences. It's like experience is the most valuable thing you'll ever acquire, you know, and learning from other people and mentorship and just like those to me are the most important things, where one interaction with the right person can change your whole outlook on life.
Definitely.
And that change can be either beneficial or it can be bad. So it can be, for example, if you expose yourself to a drug addict and he's shooting up heroin, and then, you know, you get sucked into that reality. So it's a bad experience. So it's a bad change, but it changed nonetheless. And change is inevitable. Like, it's always happening.
It's constant. It's
constantly happening. You know, there's that saying that a man who bathes in a river is never the same after, and a river is never the same after he bathed in it. Both change. Both are constantly changing. So the fact that you've been able to kind of reconstruct your whole ideology and kind of not reconstruct, I don't like to use that word here because it kind of implies that it's now one form, like one fixed way, but it's still changing. It's still changing. It'll
that's what
never
I love about growing up.
Yeah. Is that you're able to make those changes.
You're constantly changing and constantly like being aware of like new things.
Yeah.
Not only about yourself, but about the world.
About others. But that also comes like that initiative, just like you said, that you were going to start reading Extreme Ownership. That comes from you. Like that need and want to change and to be better comes from you. And he actually talks about that. Extreme ownership is owning up to your own credentials and your own aspirations and your own goals. So it's one thing for you to say like, oh, I want to be a millionaire, billionaire, whatever. Okay, it's one thing for you to say, but it's another thing for you to take extreme ownership and actually make it happen. So, you know, but that, you know, goes into a different topic, into like business and stuff. But
don't spoil the book.
No. I'm just basing everything off of the title. Yeah.
I'm kidding. You can spoil it. I don't care.
But yeah, so that's very interesting how your grandma did that though.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is so crazy because we were talking about the Kardashians and then
and now it's your grandma and then Jocko Willink with the extreme ownership.
Yes.
And then touched on, I just can't. So just really quickly, just so I could take this out of my head. So you said that your grandma got pregnant, and then she never really established a relationship with the male.
She never wanted to.
Never wanted to. So at her time, there was no such thing as artificial insemination, like going to a hospital.
That was a way harder. That was way out of her reality.
Yeah.
So she got, I think, no, she used to date back in the day the person.
Oh, okay.
I
thought
it wasn't just random. Okay, I put that.
Yeah, because
I expressed that in the wrong way.
Yeah.
They had mutual friends, and she used to date him at some point.
So she knew the guy.
She knew the guy
beforehand.
She knew him enough to choose him as the father of her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is that my mom signs his last name, even though he had like no participation
in her life
whatsoever. And that's me as well. I signed a last name that has nothing to do with who I am. And I was also thinking of like changing to my mom's last name. Yeah. But my mom's last name is her dad's last name, who had nothing to do with her, so
just keep it.
I'll just keep Manuela Castro. Call it a day. But the thing about my last name is that it isn't even my dad's. It's my dad's stepdad that took care of him.
Oh, so then he
so like it's not even like
pure or anything like
it's
that.
not.
Yeah.
It's just I just sign
it's just
my dad's stepdad's name.
It's like getting your neighbor's last name and just having it.
Pretty much. And this whole idea of names, it does come down to who you are, because your name is who you are. Your name is what defines you.
Do you think so?
I think so. I think your name, it should be as unique as possible, because it's your identity. It's who you are. Like, what are you without a name?
Yeah, my name is fucking weird. Callie. So it's literally the only Callie you'll ever meet, I think.
Okay, didn't try to come at you for that.
Yeah, but like, you have to have a weird name, and then she looks at me.
So I work at a money transfer company where a lot of people who moved from Brazil live here, and they came from a different social class there in order to get a better life here. And then I see all like these names like Gio Gleidson or
Wellington.
Wellito.
Claudius
Creuza. No, Creuza like with the like R.
Bucetilde.
Caralho. Yeah, so I just see all like okay, I don't know where I was going with that, but I just
so saying that your name is important.
It is who you are.
Isn't that weird?
If you don't have a name, like, what are you?
I could go deep with that.
I could go deep with that too.
That's what she said.
Oh my god.
So
excuse me.
Excuse you. Yeah, but I don't know, because I don't necessarily think that your name defines you per se. I think that everybody's kind of
gives you a sense of identity.
It adds on to it. But I think that you give your name definition. I think that because, for example, let's go into business real quick. If you have a company, you could call the company Black Dot. Your marketing agency is called Black Dot. What kind of name is that? What does it have to do with marketing? What does it have to do with it?
It definitely has a meaning to it. It definitely has a meaning to what it represents. To the person who came up with the name.
Yeah.
It has a meaning. Mm-hmm. So the name is what you give to represent a meaning of a whole. So I think like the name that your mother gave you, it represents who you are. So it's the representation of a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does. I'm trying to see like if there's a middle term there, whereas it's definitely that, but I do think that also the thing that it's representing also gives it meaning, so it emphasizes its meaning. For example, Kanye, you can look up the Google definition of the Latin term for Kanye, for example.
What is it?
I don't even know, to be honest.
I didn't even know Kanye had a Latin definition.
I don't even think it does. I'm just using him as an example.
I don't think Kanye has a Latin definition.
Definition. Let me see. Kanye.
Let's give.
Is an IGBO name meaning let's give, or to give honor.
Igbo.
The name is usually a shorter version of another name.
I think Igbo is African. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in
Nigeria. I read a book, great book by the way, about this Nigerian boy who lived in a village in Nigeria. It was the Igbo village. That's where Kanye comes from.
That name comes from.
Yeah, and in this village they had like all these like set of rules where like the person who owned like the biggest farm, the biggest plantation of yams had like the most control.
So it was an aristocratic.
Yeah, aristocratic.
Community,
So the
yeah.
person who had like the most yams could have more wives
More power.
and could have more power.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the book, but it's a great book to understand about like African culture, especially
Yeah.
in Nigeria. It's so rich in history,
Yeah, but
and that's where Kanye comes from. And it's interesting because it talks about let's give,
Mm-hmm.
because giving, it was a ritual that they had in the village.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really part of their culture to give
Yeah.
to the gods, not to the people, but to the
Tribute.
gods.
Tribute.
And it goes to what Kanye is doing now. He's
giving.
giving,
He's giving
praise.
to the people. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Let's
Yeah.
give God praise.
But see, so for example, my point, I guess, is like, okay, so we just Googled the name Kanye and we just Googled its meaning. Before Googling it, I had no idea that that's what it meant, right? So Kanye was still the name that he has, obviously. But the value that was given to that
Kanye
name.
was the personality that he created, because Kanye isn't even his real name, is it?
I think it is it?
I don't think so. Kanye West.
Kanye
Oh, it is.
Omar West. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So
Because he created not only
Yeah.
a personality, but like a brand on that name. Yeah.
Jesus, Yay. So
Yeah.
there's multiple different versions of that brand. And it all comes down to, okay, so have you ever seen that video? Do you know Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Have you ever watched his videos of just him talking about like deep philosophical stuff?
I have not.
No? So just a quick example. Do you know New York City Fashion Show? So he went to that event and he was talking to a reporter. And basically what he said was, the reporter said, Jim, like, what are you doing here? Like, I'm surprised that you're here at this fashion show, because he's a comedian and he's
Yeah.
like why
out of
why
his
there?
environment.
And he's dressed up and he's, dressed down, appropriate for the event. He's in like a fancy suit, whatever. And then he says, I am not here. I'm not me. None of this is real. You're not real. And then she starts looking at him just like that. She's like, oh, really? Care to
What are you
explain?
doing? Yeah.
Care to explain? And then basically his whole concept is Jim Carrey is an idea. So Kanye West is an idea. Manuela Castro is an idea. Cali is an idea. What we actually are is not accessible to the outside world. Meaning you're the only person that actually knows who you are, because you feel it. You see all of these sensations. You cry, you feel pain, you feel emotional, you feel happiness, but only you feel it. You can explain to other people how you're feeling.
Sometimes you can't even explain.
Sometimes you can't even. You'll try to explain to them and try to see if they can relate, and sometimes they will relate. It's like, oh, yeah, like that happened to me before. I always get goosebumps when I'm driving down the beach or whatever. So you can make somebody relate, but nobody's going to really know who you are ever except you, and sometimes not even you understand. So that's the whole paradigm and the whole paradox of life. I feel like it's going through this experience, not understanding fully who we are and struggling to understand the outside world. So that's why I've gotten into the whole Buddhism religion. Like I've read up on it. I'm not a Buddhist, but I've read up on it. And that's why you see all of these monks, like they devote their whole lives to like meditating and looking inwardly to try to see if they can solve that. You good? She's choking.
Just casually choking on my water, like no biggie.
That's what she said.
Callie?
If you had said just casually choking, it would have been better.
That's what she said.
Yeah. But no, so yeah,
Excuse me.
you could go through the whole experience. Like, again, that's just me being over analytical. Like, I'll just start looking deeper and deeper into stuff. But that's why monks spend the whole time meditating and just in isolation, because they're spending their whole existence looking inwardly, trying to achieve nirvana. And nirvana is the state of absolute bliss and peace. And
But is it worth it? Spend an entire lifetime looking inward when you have all these things out there to look into and learn from those things.
yeah.
One thing that I have learned recently is that you only get to live once. As cliche as it sounds, we are only certain of like this, of the now. We're not certain of what's going to happen tomorrow. We're not certain like what's going to happen after we die. Imagine we died today, like, and then as a Christian, I believe that we're going to go somewhere else. But imagine like it comes to it and then like it's
nothing
just
happens.
done. It's just nothing happens.
I think about that a lot.
Honestly, if nothing happens, I'm going to be sick.
You're going to be pissed off.
I'm going to be pissed off because
turning
I'm
in your
expecting
grave.
something else to happen after I die.
Yeah.
You know, but imagine like you get there like what's going to happen? Like it's just pitch black.
Yeah.
It's done.
Forever.
Like what was the meaning of it all?
Do you ever just find yourself thinking about that and just scaring yourself?
Yeah. Quite
I start
often.
getting extreme anxiety sometimes, and I'll just be like thinking about that, and I get very anxious.
Today, I was talking to, speaking on finding meaning and thinking of all these like existential matters. Today, I was speaking with this guy at my internship with another intern, and he's going to be a senior in college, finance major. Excuse me.
Very good.
And then he was telling me how I asked him like, what are you going to do after? Like, what are your plans? I'm really big on asking people what are their plans.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have no clue. And he was completely fine with having no clue on what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And then I stopped right there and I looked at myself and I was like, what do you mean you have no clue? You're 22 years old. You have no clue what you're going to do after college. You're probably just going to go to grad school and waste another year. Not waste, but like
waste money.
Another year of like not knowing what the heck you want to do. And then this brings back to me because this year I turned 19 in February.
Okay.
And on the day of my birthday, I love my birthday. I love celebrating my life. I love celebrating life. I love getting older and all that. Yeah. But especially on my 19th birthday, I was so sad about getting older and about not knowing what I want to do because I was at a place where I didn't know, like, what was the point of it all? Like, what do I want to do with my life? Like, who do I want to be? Who is the woman that I aspired to be? Who is the woman that I've always wanted to be ever since I was little? Because I had this image of who I would turn out to be when I was little. I had this build-up Manuela. Yeah. And then this year, especially like in February, I was so lost in the midst of everything that was going on. And I'm friends with older people. And all my older friends seem to have everything together. They had internships. They had jobs. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew what they were somewhat passionate about. Yeah. And then there was me, 19 years old, so scared of getting older and not knowing what to do. Yeah. I was filled with anxiety. I think I ruined my birthday dinner because I was just not in the mood for it. I was just not in the mood to grow up and to embrace
adversity. Yeah.
Not only that, embrace the unknown.
Yeah, uncertainty, yeah.
And then it's just funny that looking back right now and how everything played out just the way it was supposed to be played out. Like I got the internship. Yeah. I got into this program that I really wanted to get in. And I went against all the odds. I went against all the people who said, don't get your hopes up because you might not get it. You're not smart enough. You don't have the grades for it. You're not
You just
good
didn't
enough.
Listen to them. Yeah.
They actually like motivated me to prove to be like, excuse me, you don't know what you're talking about. Let me just do my thing and block out the noise. Yeah. But this goes back to finding meaning, to understanding what is the purpose of it all. Yeah. What is the purpose of like stressing out to things that it's out of my control, but then at the end everything turns out okay. Yeah. You know,
again, it's just a huge paradox.
It is a huge paradox. Sometimes I do catch myself like pondering on it, like what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to be like. Yeah. But and then tomorrow comes, everything apparently works out. Yeah. Apparently like goes the way it's supposed to be, and I'm really glad with the way things have turned out. And
even if they don't go the way it's supposed to go, or even if it don't go well, for
even
example,
if it's not the way you think it's supposed to go, you always go for the way it has to go.
It has to go.
And it will be good for you, whether you want it or not.
And I'm a firm believer in that. This whole idea of a dichotomy of like bad and evil, right? That's been established. Well, bad and evil, good and bad. That has been established since, humans were humans, right? It's extremely old. It's always been around and it always will be. But I'm kind of against that idea of like saying that something is good or bad. Someone, some billionaire went bankrupt and then I find his belongings on the sidewalk. That's a good thing for me. It's a bad thing
But
for
that's a
him.
bad thing for him.
And then vice versa. So, it's all about perspective. So I never look at anything that happens. I used to. Like, this is something that I taught myself, and it was very hard for me to understand this. And I found out mainly through the practice of being able to be mindful. So through meditation, every single morning I meditate. It's just like being present with myself and understanding, just like you said, things happen the way that they're supposed to happen. There's no reason for you to stress over it. There's no
Everything
reason for
happens for a reason. It's what I tell myself all the time.
There's no reason for you to stress. There's no reason for you to contemplate. There's no reason for you to waste that mental energy on things that
You can't control.
You can't control. And you'd be surprised at how better of a person you'll be if you're able to allocate that mental energy towards something else.
Something productive.
So, for example, people say, I don't have time to read a book. Everybody has time. Like, time is something that you create. Like, time is relative. Time is something, for example, people say, I'm always busy. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Being busy is a person that can't manage their time. So a productive person is a person that they could sleep all day and have only 4 hours in the day.
They optimize their time and they make the best out of it.
Exactly that. So if they're able to optimize the time that they're given, or they're able to smartly allocate resources, they'll be more productive than a guy that works 2 days nonstop, no sleep, So I think that's always also been, it's been, I guess, glorified now with social media. So you'll go on all these entrepreneurs' social media and you'll see them talking about like no sleep. And I did that during a period of my life during the initial phases because, again, I was mirroring myself and imaging and trying to get inspiration from these people, like Gary Vee, for example. It's like always on, hustle, always on, always grinding. So he creates that perception of never sleeping, like always doing this, always going. And I went through that phase and I had a lot of mental issues because of that. And also just health issues in general because of that place that I was pushing myself towards that had no need to, there was no balance between self and work and mind and just all that things. So then I regained balance and now that's what I do. I just find ways to optimize time. So, despite being busy, quote unquote, I still manage to be productive. I still manage to read as much as I can, listen to podcasts. And it's and again, it comes full circle with the whole, taking the initiative. It has to come from you, right? So if you were to present the Cali I am right now to the Cali I was 2-3 years ago, the Cali 2-3 years ago would look at me weird, like, who the fuck are you? It's completely different people, and the person I was last month is different from the person I am today.
One thing about me is that I am different, but I haven't lost my essence. Essence.
Yeah.
I have the same. I feel within me that I have the same essence that I had since little, shaping who I am.
Yeah.
Like it's the same. So many things can change, but the core remains the same.
The core values.
Not the core values, but like the core
being.
The core being. It has remained the same over the years. I haven't changed my core. I haven't changed who I do improve myself, definitely, but who I really am, it's still there. Yeah. It's who I am.
Yeah. And that's important. And that's also funny that you bring that up because I truly believe that that's necessary. And just like you're doing, for example, you keep your core essence while still allowing yourself to change.
It's like a tree. It's like a tree. You keep the
established roots, and then
you
cut the branches,
out, and then you just shape it,
trim it,
But the main root, like the roots, stay the same.
Yeah.
The body stays.
Yeah, that's So basically, it's just establishing a firm foundation.
A firm foundation,
Yeah.
yes, correct.
And then staying true to that.
It's sticking true to yourself and listening to yourself.
Yeah. And then what you notice, a lot of people can't do that. So that's when you see people fall, like they put up this facade and eventually it falters. Eventually there's cracks in it. Because I do believe that, for example, if somebody was to portray themselves as doing something, and a lot of people do this on social media to other people, it gets to a point where it's not sustainable anymore. So the point of sustainability, the threshold of sustainability is very defined in a sense where, for example, if I was to go on social media tomorrow and say, hey guys, and kind of like portray my life as being a certain way. So let's say that I want to be a rapper now, and then I'll go the next 3 months portraying my life as being this rapper. I could like add subtle changes to it where, for example, I could go on Craigslist and hire models, beautiful women, and get an Airbnb and kind of like take pictures in that and then portray this level of success. I can charter a jet. I can, do all these things that I will be doing momentarily, but they're not sustainable. That's not my life. So that's what I see a lot of people on social media doing. It's just they try to create this perception of success without ever being truly successful. And no one's truly successful because the definition of success varies from person to person. It's relative. So your definition of success applies to yourself, not to others.
What is your definition of success?
My definition of success is, it's definitely not a place. It's not an end goal. It's not the house on a beach. It's not the house in the hills. It's not. Those are byproducts. So those are, things that may or may not happen. To me, it's the journey in being aspiring. So my definition of success is influence. It's aspiring to inspire before I expire. Like that's what I've always believed in. It's like being able to inspire other people and connect to other people and being able to leave an impact. It's legacy. That's my definition of success. It's legacy. So it's what I will leave behind, not materialistic things for my kids or whatever. Again, those are byproducts. Those are things that may or may not happen. I may or may not be able to do that. But it's mainly the impact and what people will say at my funeral. It's the name, again. It's what the name will represent. So I do believe that you become immortalized. So immortality is real in terms of the idea of you. Michael Jackson died, but he's still alive.
He's still alive among us, yes.
Muhammad Ali died, he's still alive.
It's crazy how I remember the day he died.
Yeah, me too.
I think everyone remembers that day.
It was iconic, yeah. But yeah, so he lives on because his legacy lives on. So he did what he did. And so
being successful is being able to leave
a meaningful legacy.
A meaningful legacy.
My biggest fear is to die and just perish forever. Like it's funny because that fears me more than death itself. The idea of dying is less scary, I guess, or frightening than
to not have lived
a
life that was like worth living.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Like that's because people will say like, oh, like my definition of success is, having a house in the hills, having a Bugatti, having kids, having a beautiful husband or wife, with 6-packs or whatever. It's like, that's just, you're setting yourself up to fail because you're idealizing things, and life there's no progress with idealization. You can have an idea. You can have a goal that you set out, a target, but chances are you're going to miss that target sometimes, right? And so if you're putting that target in, the only thing that works is that target for you, you won't realize and see that there's another better target underneath where your dart is like kind of falling to.
Duckworth says you have to have a different scales of goals. You have to have a third level, a second level, and then the top level. And then the lower levels is just like a means to an end. And you shouldn't limit yourself to just like that one goal, because if that goes wrong, you need something else. You need to continue. Life doesn't stop because that was lost.
You need to learn how to pivot.
Pivot, yes. That word is so interesting. I learned about pivot today in my boxing class. He was like,
"Oh, okay, yeah,
because you have to pivot
stance,
yes,
yeah."
And it's in life, you just have to pivot sometimes.
You have to pivot, and the term or the popularization of the term comes from that. It's like you get punched in the face.
You have to pivot.
You have to pivot, find balance again, or
Yeah.
you're going to be knocked out. And Muhammad Ali said it best. He said everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So idealization, it's not real. You know, like you're setting yourself up to fail. And I learned that the hard way, especially with fiber. You know, it's funny because I was thinking about, like, I was looking back in hindsight. I was like just reflecting on who I was when I first started the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so full of life. So like enthusiastic. I was like all like, you know, like I was just a different person. But I don't say that as being like a bad thing. I say that I was very naive.
Naive
I
to
was
the reality of the thing.
I was very naive.
Absolutely.
I was idealistic. I was many things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole process, basically, to kind of like use an analogy, the boxing analogy, it just beat the living shit out of me to a point where I was kind of like Rocky in that scene where he's kind of like trying to like survive. So right now I am him regaining balance and coming back up and, you know, coming for the win.
Punch.
So coming for but I had to go through those punches. I had to take that and I had to absorb them. There's no running away. There's no running out of the ring. You know, once you're in there, you're in there.
You're in
like,
there
that's
for good.
you.
Yes.
Like there's no backup plan to the backup plan. There's no fallback plan. There's no nothing. It's like if everything goes wrong, it's on you. If everything goes right, congratulations.
It's on you.
Yeah. So it's always that. And you were gonna say something?
I was gonna say that the first time we hung out and we talked about fiber, we had a really insightful conversation.
I felt like I was giving a TED talk, to be honest.
No, it was great.
Yeah, no.
We shared really good ideas with one another in terms of business. I mean, what do I know about business?
Yeah.
But I did have some insights on, I don't want to say like on how you should do your business, of course not, but like some insights on like how
ideas,
how to construct it even better.
Yeah. It's just,
it's hard. You have to
endure,
yeah.
And there's a lot of factors because if you try to dissect it and you try to break it down into various parts, it's like, I'm very young.
Very young.
So people take
that's out of the
advantage
ordinary, yes.
People take advantage, right? And rightfully so, because, you know, business
what experience do you have?
Business is a cutthroat environment. Like it can be good, but it's good when you're already good, kind of. So when you're already established and you're already like, for example, you're McDonald's trying to open something. It's like, oh, like people will lie down for you to step on them. It's like, yeah, for sure, you know. Being the underdog, and that's why I got that painting over there of David wearing the cape and superhero thing. Because I do believe that is a superpower. You know, underestimation is powerful to a point where it's like,
oh, it is powerful. I can speak on that.
Yeah. So like being underestimated, being overlooked, being neglected,
it's a motivation.
It's a motivation. If it truly fuels me, you know, it
fuels me too.
Yeah. But then you have to be careful because, again, going back to the time when I read 48 Laws of Power, it fueled me in a very toxic way, in a vengeful revenge type of way. So I really wanted to seek revenge with my actions
just to show people, to show those people what you can do.
So my motive was faltered. I didn't have the right purpose. I didn't have the right motivation. My motivation was predicated and founded on revenge, on malevolence, on just pure like I went through a dark phase. Like I was just like thinking very toxically. I was just giving up all my friends. I just started questioning everybody. It was a very bad phase. But again, that was a huge punch to my face because like I learned from that. So today I know that like I've changed everything, you know, because that's what happens. You learn new experiences and you learn from them. And so where was I getting with this? Where I tend to do that a lot too. Underestimation. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a superpower if you understand
the true meaning of it, the
importance
of it. Yeah. If you don't do it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. And you can't allow ego into the equation when you're an underdog. Yeah.
I had a similar experience, but it wasn't so bad, like to the bad side of it. There's this program that Rutgers offers, and it's really competitive. And I wanted to be in that program. And I had people tell me, oh, like, don't get your hopes up. You're not going to get it.
You're not good enough.
Or like, you don't have the grades for it. Like, what do you know about that? And guess what?
You got in.
I got in. Yeah. I'm in. And I deserve to be in. And I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
That's powerful. Yeah.
But like part of the reason why like I wanted to I kept going in the process was not only because I wanted to be in the process, but to prove people of what I can do.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter like if I'm a girl or if I have a strong accent or
Which you don't, by the way.
I mean, oh my God, I have no idea how much fun people make of me for, you know, not knowing how to pronounce things sometimes.
Yeah.
It's annoying, but it's whatever. And but people often have underestimated me for being, you know, fresh off the boat. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I get
it. Or for being a girl, or for not having,
for being young.
And for, you know, doing things that's not my place to do.
But
for being too for being a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
Like mentally speaking.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly in a sense where I even tell people like, I don't say this trying to be like egotistic. Like I don't want to say that I'm better than everybody or anybody. My only goal is to always be better than the person I was yesterday. So
it's between you and yourself.
Yeah. So it's just like that dialogue that I have with myself every single night when, you know, before I go to bed. If I'm content with what I've accomplished that day, then I'm good and I keep moving forward. So, but having a certain level of passion and having this goal-oriented mindset mentality, that is inevitable. Just like you said, it gets to a point where you become advanced, like in comparison to those around you. So that's when your circles start to change. That's when people start to change on you too.
Leave people, yeah.
Yeah, and then those who see value in that, and people, and those who resonate with your ideology, they'll follow you. They'll join your table. They'll sit with you. They'll walk with you.
They respect you.
They'll respect you more for it.
Yeah, one thing that I have another thing that I have learned a lot, like especially this year, about friendships, is respect.
Yeah.
If you're my friend, but you're not gonna respect me in front of other people, then you're not my friend. And then not even that, I don't want you as my friend. You're my
enemy, actually, because. Well, not even
not my enemy. Like I just don't want that kind of person around me. For example, I do have some girlfriends that will try to be funny around other guys, and by being funny, I mean like picking on me because I'm such an easy target.
You'll become the butt of the joke.
Yeah, like I have like girlfriends like done that to me.
Yeah,
just so they can like
look good.
Just so they can dick right, pretty much.
Yeah,
you know, and like. If you say you're my friend and you do that, then like I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I don't want you as my friend whatsoever. Because one thing I have learned, another thing that I have learned, many things I've learned.
Everybody learns.
Clearly.
Living and learning.
Definitely. So it's respect.
Yeah.
Like if you want to establish like a solid like friendship, relationship, foundation, you need respect.
With anybody.
Yeah. And like that's me right now. Like I'm leaving certain people behind because there's a lack of respect that I won't tolerate anymore because, I want to be friends. Oh, no, I honestly, there's a saying in Portuguese, antes só do que mal acompanhado.
Yeah,
how do you say that in English? You're better off by yourself than...
Better to walk by yourself than...
with the wrong people, I guess.
With bad company. Yeah.
With bad company. And that is the truest thing I could possibly, hold on to my heart as I'm growing up.
Yeah. And you leave those people behind because some people, I personally believe, some people don't deserve your respect.
They don't deserve.
I feel like respect, similar to energy, it's something very limited. I view a lot of things as being these finite resources, meaning they're not unlimited because that's an illusion. So thinking that you have all the time in the world or whatever, no, I prefer to say, all right, so I have 24 hours, I'm going to break it down, I'm gonna do this and this, and then that comes to the whole productivity thing. So busy is an illusion. Busy is thinking, because you're stuck in that loop. So respect is something that I don't give out too often.
Just a new one.
Yeah. So once I give it out,
You're selective to who you give your respect to.
Selective,
and that's something that
100%.
I'm learning now.
Yeah, you have to be.
You have to be. You can't be doing that to yourself.
Mm-mm.
Just being,
Nope.
You can't look. We have 24 hours, but there's only so much you can do in 24 hours. Just you argue about making time, but there's only so much time I can make.
No, of course. Yeah, exactly.
And there's only so many people I can.
Yeah. So there's
help.
a middle ground there where it's like, just like you said, make time, but be realistic with it. So it's 24 hours. So you're being realistic because you're conscious of there being a ceiling to that. So it's not unlimited. So that's the whole idea. It's 24 hours. It's limited, but you still manage to allocate resources. And so selective applies to everything. Like being selective to me is being selective with the people I
hang out with,
people I give my energy to,
yeah.
people I talk to, people I just do everything. But I had to learn that too. Like,
and that's something my mom
I knew.
It's constantly pounding on my head. Like, are you sure that person's worth it? Are you sure this is worth it? Are you sure? Or do you have the time for that? Do you want to make the time for that specific thing or person?
And what people don't realize is that you kind of have to be selfish in order to be selfless. Meaning you have to be selfish with the limited resources you have in order to be selfless with the people that deserve it. Mm-hmm. So instead of wasting your energy with people who don't deserve it, you allocate it towards people who actually deserve it, and it's more valuable because of that. Because there's this really dope quote that's he who is seen all the time is barely noticed, which is so powerful to me. It's like if you're there all the time, then you're not going to be noticed that much.
It's good too.
And then
go away for a little.
If you have like a more
oh my god
limited presence, you're fine. You're fine.
I thought you were looking.
Okay. So if you have like limited presence and limited everything, people value it more. So people will respect you more. Yeah. That's deep. That's deep. But that it's necessary though.
It is necessary.
It's necessary with everything in life.
I love having these like conversations about life.
I can have these all day.
I love having these conversations.
All day, every single day.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how to learn about people.
See, but I think that not too many people have that similar mindset. Like that's why it's very rare. That's why it's called an outlier, right? The definition of outlier changes over time. So back in 500 years ago, the definition of an outlier was different from today. Mm-hmm. Today, I feel like that definition is just becoming so bland. So like it doesn't take much for you to be an outlier nowadays, and that's not a good thing. Because back in the day, everybody was putting in effort, everybody was like striving towards progress, and now I feel like everybody's just so zombied up, like zombified. People wake up, social media, consume content, turn on the news, get brainwashed, do this, that. They don't think for themselves anymore. Like people don't take a step back and think. Like just think, just like you said, have these conversations, have a conversation about it. Instead, nowadays, people will go on Twitter and just bash other people. So if I post something that's kind of controversial, they'll go there and say, oh, but you're being homophobic or you're being this. So they're trying to find outward fixes. People want to fix things. We're fixers. We fix stuff. Mm-hmm. We fix people. We fix buildings. We fix everything. But instead of turning outwardly, you should turn inwardly first. Because a person who's always trying to fix stuff is a person
often forgets to look in.
It's a person that's broken inside. Mm-hmm. And that's overcompensation. It happens like this. It's like your brain does not understand measurement to an extent where it does not understand,
limitations of what you give, yeah.
Like, she lacks confidence. I'll give her 5 millimeters of confidence to level it out. No, if you lack confidence, your brain is going to get into a fight or flight mode. It's going to overcompensate. It gets in this weird survival mode. So basically what I'm getting with this is the person you see at school, at work, in public, walking down the street that's overtly confident, they're trying to overcompensate and hide what's truly underneath. So that's why anybody who's overtly kind and nice and puts on this huge ass smile all the time is always happy. That's why you see that all of these people who commit suicide, like they're mostly people who were always smiling, always happy, always content with life. Robin Williams, Mac Miller, all these people were always like happy. And then that's why they say like you should always check on your friends who are always like your happy, really happy friends, because there's some overcompensation going on, and it happens. Like, you can't control it, and sometimes you don't even notice it, and then you see these people who just put up these fronts. And so that's one of the techniques that I learned from 48 Laws of Power, actually. So that allows me to
I can't wait to read that book.
That book is literally just like the Bible to me, to a certain extent. It's like I learned so much from there that I still apply it today, but obviously I know how to apply it now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I use that to every social interaction. It's like you can tell how people are. Like people tend to say, like, people are so complicated. We're very simple. We just choose to not look at us like not. Again,
we are simple.
We're very simple to a certain extent. Yeah. Like yesterday, I was talking to Victor about this, where we, out of laziness, out of just avoidance of, dedicating energy and time towards something. For example, you present to me something that's complex. It's a complex idea, thought. It's very, difficult to wrap my mind around. I could look at that and just brush it off and give that a name, a label, and say, oh, that's fake. Like, for example, Jay-Z and Beyonce, they're the controllers of the Illuminati, supposedly, right? Mm-hmm. But that's just the public, the masses, trying to justify their success because they don't want to understand it.
That they achieved that by themselves.
They think that the person on top of the mountain just fell there, but that person climbed the mountain. So
they don't see the ladder behind it. They just see when you're at the top.
Exactly. So, and then they try to justify it. Mm-hmm. So they try to, instead of putting effort into understanding their come up, understanding their childhood. They put effort to judge
where they are right now.
So they go the opposite way. And that's society in a nutshell right now. So it's kind of, so I'm against that.
It's upsetting.
It is.
It truly is. But it is upsetting, and I still catch myself sometimes doing that.
Because it's inevitable. Like, it's something that will happen.
It's within us.
But it's up to you to monitor that and police your thoughts and police yourself and like catch yourself in that act and be like, hey, like pull yourself back. Mm-hmm. Some people don't have that inner police, And I don't know if you saw, I posted this on stories once about the whole filter thing, about the two entrance of the filter. And then basically what I said is like, go through life, instead of being immersed and being a victim of your circumstance, like things happen to you, be the one that stands back and sees things happen for you. Yeah, like things are happening and you observe them happen.
That's what the book that I told you by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, he teaches you to not be a victim. And like in any situation, 100%. You can't be the victim, because if you're the victim, you're not going to take action. Yeah. You're just going to find yourself the excuse to not, take action to your own hands. So he teaches, like, in whatever situation you're in, don't accept to be the victim.
Yeah. Ever.
Just take matters onto your own hands and change those circumstances. Yeah. And that's and this whole like discipline that he teaches us through his experiences emphasizes that being the victim is like putting yourself as the victim is not worth it. No, it's not worth it for yourself. You're just setting yourself in that comfort zone. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna do this because there's this. Have you seen there's this meme? They have like four pictures of they have four pictures of garages, and they had like Steve Jobs started like this.
Apple, Amazon.
Amazon started like this, like Windows, in these garages. And then what's your excuse? And then someone said, "Well, I don't have a garage."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you can't be. There's always something. You can't
that's a great example.
Allow yourself to become the victim. Yeah. You're above that. Yeah. Rise above.
Yeah. I'm all about creating opportunity for you, like for yourself. Mm-hmm. So people say like,
there's this cliche saying, like, if the door doesn't show for the upper, like, build the door.
Yeah. If no one comes knocking on your door,
like, build the door.
Yeah, just build another door and stuff. Yeah, and it's just that age-old question, like, at what point does preparation meet opportunity? So people still believe in that, but they believe in that wholeheartedly to a point where you can buy all the books you want. You can be the most knowledgeable person about life. You could be like the smartest person in your city. That doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be able to acquire your goals, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's a certain differential factor there where it's like preparation is key, but there's like networking, there's like various different factors that come into play for you to achieve something substantial. So I guess what I'm trying to say with this is create your own opportunities. It's very necessary. It's like learn with people, but don't be reliant on like, oh, I'm going to study how to write code because maybe one day I'll find someone that to partner up with and we'll create the next Facebook or the next Instagram. But no, like that's you making an excuse in terms of time, opportunity, and just like, oh, like there has to be another person for you to be able to do that.
You're limiting yourself.
You're limiting and setting yourself up to fail because you're setting unrealistic standards. So the moment that you just take extreme ownership, and just like David Goggins says, like you should not become a victim of your circumstance, create your own circumstance. So wake up one day and just start building it. But I don't know how to fucking build the next Facebook. Neither did the person building the next Facebook. It just became that. So it became after like one thought process. It's one step. And then that's where social media comes into play again. It's like you see Jay-Z, billionaire, recently declared, billionaire, Beyonce, like they're the ultimate power couple. But they went through their ups and downs, individually as a couple, with the whole cheating scandal, like everything. So like there are things that we don't see, those steps, individual steps, those suffering, those headaches, those times that they spend alone crying, those times that they might have, been abusing substances to escape from their reality. Maybe they hate their lives. You don't know that. You don't know that. So that's why I've always been very careful now, especially nowadays with everything I see, everyone I meet. I'm always very cautious. I'm always very like, I'm just cautious as to.
You don't know what's behind.
What's behind.
You don't know what's in their heart.
But I don't fear what's behind them. I get inspired to see what's behind them. So to like look inward, like invest time in that. So that's why I have this podcast. Like that's why I want to sit down with people. So I'll see someone that I find interesting on Instagram. Like I have like episodes booked up to like next month kind of already. Like it's like people want the opportunity to be heard
and to share what they have.
Understood. Yeah. And I think that everybody deserves that opportunity. It's just that we've just we've created this illusion, this thing that, only if you're Kanye West, you should have access to a microphone. You should be heard and you should be able to influence. But that's not the case at all. Everybody has potential. Your story, your upbringing, your downfalls, it's very human. And then it comes back to the whole simplicity of just being of the human experience. We tend to overcomplicate. It's everybody can relate with you. If I tell a story, maybe Kanye West will start tearing up, and just because he's Kanye West and he's on that pedestal all the time doesn't mean that he's not human. Like there's a human factor to it. And the facade and the social thing breaks after 20 minutes of conversation, after 25 minutes of conversation, it starts faltering. So you start getting to know who the real person is behind it. And that's what we don't have nowadays. Like we don't get that opportunity on social media because you go on social media and it's literally a millisecond of a flash of a camera at that moment that you're portraying on that page. And it stays on there forever. And so the irony, your reality. It's not your constant reality. It's not sustainable. Like it's not all the time. Even if you're Bill Gates, and Bill Gates doesn't even like flaunt at all, but even if he wanted to like flaunt buying a Bugatti every single day, he could, but
he has greater things.
But even then though, it's not his reality, because to assume that he buys a Bugatti every single day would be kind of foolish.
Yeah.
So it's kind of something that he did in that moment. So even though he has all this money, so the whole point is the irony of social media being something that's momentarily, it vanishes. You take that picture next to that car, next to that model, next to that house or whatever, and then it stays on your page forever. But that moment doesn't last forever. But we think it lasts forever because we're
the picture. We have
we're manipulated to think of that. Yeah. And then we get all of that feed, and then you have your profile pic, and all of that is associated to that idea of that person.
But I have to add something to that. Social media is a necessary evil. We need social media to connect dots, to connect people, and to sell yourself. If, for example, we have LinkedIn, if you want a job,
opportunities, create opportunities.
Yeah, you need that to create opportunities. You need LinkedIn to sell yourself. Yeah, you need a good picture to sell yourself. You need to. Even on your resume, you have to boost it up to make sure you're up there.
And that is just like that's the exact thing. It's just like
It's
the whole
necessary.
just like the whole creating time thing, right? It's
Yeah.
there's always a middle ground. So it's understanding, being aware of what the extremes are. So the extreme of one side is you being completely obsessed with social media and trying to put up this image. And then the other extreme is you not giving a fuck about social media and missing up on the opportunities, on the prospective gains from it. So somewhere in the middle, you're aware of both sides and you know that there's a balance there. So it's a healthy balance.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to meet that healthy balance, like you have to force yourself to look at both sides, and people don't necessarily. So I'm not, coming on here to like say like, oh, like I hate social media. I'm not going to use it ever again.
No,
I
yeah.
use it a lot actually, but I'm aware of
But
both
you
extremes.
need to use it a lot.
I need to use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it comes from like needs and wants and all that stuff, but knowing and understanding that there's a difference between it, and it's a necessary evil. But again, evil is relative, so it's not really.
It's relative.
Yeah.
Yes. You
So,
can't really establish
Yeah.
a ground point on that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love social media for what it's presented, like the opportunities, networking opportunities, the opportunity to book guests for the show. I'll reach out to like people who I've never met before, people, complete strangers. Ask them if
You
they want
reach
to be
out to a
on.
whole different
Yeah, and
crowd.
something that a few
You and
years
the
ago,
Russians.
even the rush. Actually, it's funny that you said that because Garfield, where Fiber's opening, they have a lot of
Russians.
Russian people, Italians. It's just very
The
multicultural
fascinating thing about social media is that it caters.
to everybody.
It caters your content to the people that is not only around it, but the people who are looking for it.
We're interested in that.
Are interested in that service or product that you are putting out there. For example, on the sponsor thing on Instagram, I only get the like pictures from the sponsor thing on Instagram from things that I actually like. Like it's amazing how you know what I'm saying? Like it caters to the need, like it caters to the target audience.
Yeah. And
that's marketing.
And that could be dangerous because Facebook recently got in trouble for that, right?
For that, yes.
For like selling your data. So it's
But even iPhone does when you receive a text message and then it says maybe the person name. It says a person's name.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll add someone on Snapchat and then I'll go on Facebook and then randomly that person's gonna be on my like suggestion of friends even though there's like no one in common.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll add that person on LinkedIn Instagram or even LinkedIn, and then like I'll find that person like on a different platform saying it like as a suggestion, like how excuse me, like how do you know?
Yeah, because they're all intertwined. I feel like they're all in this together. Did you hear about Facebook's new Bitcoin, new digital coin? It's called I know that it's a horoscope sign. Leo? Is it Leo?
I did not hear about that.
Libra.
No.
I think it's called Libra. Yeah, Libra. Yeah, Libra. Facebook.
Oh yeah, Libra.
Oh shit, fade. Libra fade.
Facts. That's such a Scorpio thing to do.
Cryptocurrency.
So
the tech industry. Yeah, so it's cryptocurrency, and basically, I saw this image where it kind of summarizes. Yeah, so it's this. So all these companies, they're all. I don't know if I can make this bigger. Hold on.
Well, as a finance major, I'm really not on top of my game because I didn't really.
Yeah, but this is recent. So, but my whole point in here is that all these companies, they're all portrayed as being rivals. They're all portrayed as being like one against the other, like Facebook versus Instagram or Facebook versus whatever. But in the totality of everything, I feel like once you get to that level of control and dominance in society, you kind of have a tendency to work together and cooperate with each other to kind of sustain that position of power. So it's kind of like a cool guys club. So that's a cool guys club. And basically what happens here is all of these companies that you're seeing, they're all compatible with Libra. Mm-hmm. So Facebook is smart for that. So what Facebook did is, think about it. Every single person basically has a Facebook account or has had one in the past.
Yeah.
So I could go on Facebook and just, pay you without having to pull out my wallet or credit card. So it's already there. And then it's just so easy because everybody has a Facebook account.
It's just like a lot more convenient.
So let's
for
say
everyone.
that, you and I get in an accident and I don't know you, and then you break my I don't know, like you break this statue, and then let's say that I'm the type of person that's like, yo, like
You gotta pay.
you gotta pay for me, like pay for that or whatever, and then it's $40. So you don't know me, I don't know you, and then you'll just go on Facebook, I'll go on Facebook, and then it's just an easy transition. So it's kind of like, oh, like there's no like credit card exchange, there's no cash there.
I'm really hesitant about all this cryptocurrency
No, me too.
topics.
Yeah.
I'm not a firm believer that this is gonna be sticking around
For
very
too long.
soon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like in the future, but as of now, I don't think that's the thing that's gonna start booming.
Yeah. It's
especially
strange.
like for Bitcoin. Do you remember?
Yeah, Bitcoin went up and down.
Yeah.
And it was just overhyped.
It was just really overhyped.
The problem with this is that there's no...
It's not tangible.
It's not tangible. People don't feel... But that's
credit isn't tangible. Like money in your bank account isn't tangible. But still, that's something that's been around for so long. And there's so much like credibility to it. Because it's been around for so long. And then they want to introduce something that like no one is really certain about.
Yeah. And it's funny that you brought up credit cards because I was about to use that as an example. I don't know if you know this, but this is just going back to the whole psychology and just behavioral economics. A person who goes into a store, let's say you walk into Zara, right? Mm-hmm. If you have cash that your cash that you've earned through your job, through your hard-earned cash, you'll feel like, and then you go up to the checkout and it's $50 and then you spend those $50. When you hand her your $50, subconsciously, like that's more of an intense experience in a sense where you value that money much more as opposed to if you were to just swipe your card.
Swipe the card, yes.
So that's why credit card debt is a multi-billion-dollar industry to like help you get rid of it and, interest loans and all that stuff. Because people don't, again, what's not tangible, what we can't see doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
We think.
And
then they understand that it does matter and it could ruin your fucking life. So again, going into college, for example, that's why student loans are so prominent. It's a business model. Like that's, it's curated and created to fuck with you where you dangle this opportunity in front of people and say like, even if the person doesn't know what the fuck they want to do,
you have to get that in order to.
You'll get enrolled into a 30,000 year
college institution,
university, whatever.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you want to do, but you're still being, slowly but surely hung, I guess, by those loan companies. So,
I have loans.
So they're tying that noose and then they're slowly, and then you can survive it, obviously, if you pay it all off and stuff. But the whole idea is like of you forgetting it. That's why people have student loan debt. That's why people...
And then the interest just go.
And then interest rates are going down actually right now. Yeah, but it's either way, interests are volatile. So it's always up and down, Mm-hmm. And that's why Bitcoin too. And yeah, like things like that kind of scare me. They scare me, but they also excite me. It's kind of like the whole technological revolution. Are you into like AI and like looking into like artificial intelligence and how that'll influence future business practices or anything like that?
Not as much as I wish.
Because I'm obsessed with that. Like artificial learning, like how a computer learns. Like I've looked into that and it just blows my mind.
Yeah, it is mind blowing.
It blows my mind on how
like how like fast things are changing and things are evolving and
data chunking, pattern recognition, all that
it's
stuff.
Insane how even like a human being can come up with something so extraordinary that is not a human, it's artificial.
It just...
But no matter how complex, how mind-blowing this artificial intelligence may be, but nothing will top
the human
because the human mind, once you learn how to master it, you're unstoppable. There's so many parts of your brain that's not even used. But like once you know how to master the art of knowing how to use your brain, that's when you become powerful.
I agree with that. And also you can't teach a robot creativity yet, right?
yet.
Because
I
creativity,
mean, yes, you kind of can. Kind of.
you can teach them how to replicate a creative thought. For example,
True.
you could teach them how to paint a Picasso, basing off of an already existing Picasso, or basing off of his
Yeah, it's based off of something that's been
his
created
style.
by a
Yeah.
human being. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
But
that's right.
you can't force like a machine to like hey, like invent something new. You know, like,
Create something that's not.
out of nowhere. Yeah, and that ties into my belief that there are no such thing as original ideas.
I don't believe so. I think everything that's ever been thought was either thought
already
by someone else.
And then keep the mic just close to you.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yes, I think every like idea that we have was definitely thought
already
before.
thought, yeah.
And the person who thought first maybe didn't have the resources needed in order to reproduce the idea, but everything has been thought.
Yeah. And everything has been based on something in the past.
You know, when I was little, I had this idea of like creating a different mouse. Do you know how the mouse is like the little arrow?
Yeah.
I wanted to change that. I wanted to do, instead of being like an arrow, why can't you choose the form of that? Why can't you choose the way that is?
Yeah.
And I remember I was probably like 6 or 7.
Wow.
No, I was like 8.
And you still managed to cultivate that mindset.
No, and I was really obsessed with Disney. I love Disney. And then my idea was, instead of having like a mouse that's just like the white arrow, to have like a Disney character, for example. You move Mickey around. You move like Cinderella around.
Yeah.
And then when you want to click, then like the Mickey jumps into the thing. Or Cinderella just like she jumps.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, clicking.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought it was really cool, but then again, times are different. That wouldn't be really useful.
But that's a creative manifestation.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something. So what do you think that derives from? Meaning, do you?
I've had some really great ideas in terms of like creating things.
Where do you think that stems from? Like, where do you think you source your creativity? Is it soul? Is it mind? Because recently
it sparks to my mind. It sparks to me.
Okay.
And it sparks to me connected to things that I like and connected to things that I see. And then I pay really close attention to it. And then the thought of that thing just like sticks in my mind and stays there until like something is created.
And then you get obsessed with that process.
I mean, I never really get obsessed with that process. Like it has come to me. For example, I remember I wanted to think of this like squatting machine where you don't really have to do the squat for yourself. The machine just like does it for you. I don't know if that's invented already, but
no.
I had that like
zero effort.
Like you don't really have to put, you know, there's so many like machines that can work out for you. And I was like, okay, so a squatting machine where you don't really have, no, you just like, it does it for you. And then you just sit down there and then your legs are moved up and down by a machine, operated by a machine. And yet you still get the nice buns.
The benefits out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was ever thought before, but
yeah. See, because
that's kind of sick though.
It is. Like you would definitely be like a billionaire if you'd managed to make that happen.
Had the resources to make that happen, yeah.
Yeah. But then you have to like, I don't know if that's feasible though. Like how are you going to get gains without effort or without tearing the fibers?
I mean, it's not completely without effort, but you have like the aid of the machine.
Oh, so it's an assisted squat.
Assistant squat.
That already exists, I think. Where well, not really.
But what I had in my mind, it was like a machine that did the squats for you, pretty much. You sit in the machine.
Yeah.
And then you have like two like 4 pedestals like this.
Yeah.
And then it's already adjusted to how your back has to be when you go down.
Okay.
And then it's already adjusted to how your feet is supposed to be positioned, and then you just follow the right positioning, and then you have the movement. And then maybe you could even like put your knees on like the other 2 pedestals and then have that as an aid to roll up and down. I don't even know,
And then basically you can even go further and apply artificial intelligence and how like it help, like for example, you're going on your last rep and then maybe you're getting tired and then the machine itself will like lower the weight for you and to like help you like one more. Yeah. there's a machine that actually does that already. Like fitness is going in a crazy direction now, and I'm very excited about it.
And you know something about gyms that who did I speak with today? With my MD at my internship, he was saying that we're doing a memo for a company that invests in like franchises, and one of the franchises is Planet Fitness, and we saw a report that shows how much money they make just from the memberships that are not used.
Yeah.
So people,
that's why. That's why
it's something doesn't hurt people's pocket, but they don't. But they still pay and they don't do it. And then at the end of the day, it compounds and it's a lot of money.
I don't know if you know this, but what's the exact numbers? It's 83% of the members of Planet Fitness pay for the.
You're good.
87% of the members of Planet Fitness pay for the 13% that actually use it 5 times a week. So everybody else, just like you said, like that's $10. Like nobody gives a fuck about $10. Like you're not gonna drive all the way to Planet Fitness to cancel a $10 membership.
No, it's $10. It doesn't hurt your pocket.
Yeah. So if it doesn't affect you directly to a point where it's like Equinox, that's like $200 or whatever, then you're not gonna.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, that actually hurts
Your pocket.
But the irony of that is, and then they feed you pizza, bagels, and all that stuff to keep you unsatisfied and to create the illusion. How long have we been on this, by the way? I'm
just taking a picture from my mom.
Yeah. All right, guys, hold on. I'm just gonna check the time real quick. Right. Let me just check the time. How long did we, how long do you think we did?
It's okay, so we started what, 9:30?
Yeah. Wow, I think we did like 2 hours. If my clock isn't, because this clock, I don't really understand it. It says 3 hours, but most of the time it's not all that.
No, it's probably 2 hours or something.
So yeah, is there anything else that you want to like touch on before we wrap it up? Because I know it's late as fuck right now.
I don't know. I could keep on talking about so many things because it just flows. It really does. There's so many things.
Yeah.
Didn't talk about my travels. Come on.
You want to talk about that?
I was really excited to share the news.
Yeah. So, explain the whole internship process. Like why? Like.
Oh, the internship process, or
you're traveling for an internship?
No, I'm traveling on vacation. Yes,
okay.
I did an internship. A friend of mine from school, shout out to Thailand.
That's an interesting name. Yeah.
For guiding me through everything in school that I needed. Not everything, but all the stressful things, and for kind of helping me with the internship. And no, I'm going on vacation.
Where to? Rome?
I'm going to Croatia.
Where is that at?
It's Croatia. It's in Europe.
I've never. Oh,
Croatia.
Croatia.
Then
okay. Got it.
Then I'm gonna go to Turkey.
Why there? Like why Croatia?
Well, that's the thing. My mom and we don't like to go to the mainstream places, except for Mykonos. But we don't like to go to the mainstream places. We like to go to like remote places where it's cool, but no one knows it.
That it's kind of undervalued.
Yeah.
Underestimated.
Yes. So there's Croatia for that. And we're going to Turkey. We're going to a place called Bodrum. It wasn't popular, but it's becoming popular now. So we're going to go now before it gets, the word gets out and everyone knows about it.
So I think we did that with the sushi spot that we went to. Like I was trying to find a low key underground place, and I've never been to that place.
It was literally underground and low key.
Yeah, hidden in this like weird village and stuff. But I think,
it was so cool.
Would you say that need, or not need, but that want to find somewhere that's new and unique and a novelty? Do you think that ties into the way that you approach everything else in life? Because like judging off of your character,
I think so.
It's like you're kind of like an adventurer, right? Like you like to discover things
and discover new things and just expand in my mind. Yeah. I really believe that the more you learn, the more interesting you become, the more knowledge you have, the more you have to share with people, the more substance you have. And you can have like different conversations with so different people. You can reach more people with all this knowledge that you have.
Yeah.
And I love traveling. I love experiencing new things. I love diversity. That's the one thing I love about my school, Rockers, is that I get to be friends with people from Pakistan, with people from Serbia, people from Russia, people from Egypt. And I learn more from their culture, and it also shapes who I am. Yeah. For example, the whole thing about being respected, number one priority in the friendship. I learned from my friend. She's from Pakistan, and she's just like a role model for me now. Like, she has taught me so many things. She's older, and she's kind of a mentor. She guides me through life stuff.
Yeah. Lessons, ups
lessons
and
conveniences.
Yeah.
So this approach that I have of like wanting like this new income, this fresh income of things and information and people, it is how I approach my life
in just every aspect of it.
In pretty much every aspect of it.
Yeah. That idea of assimilating different cultures is one of the reasons why I want to achieve financial freedom or financial stability, because I was asked this on my friend's podcast. He asked me, like, what's my financial gain with Fiber Fitness? Like, where do I see myself financially in 5 years, whatever. And then my only goal isn't to like accumulate wealth like that too, but that's a byproduct again.
It's a byproduct, yeah.
My
main goal,
it's a consequence
the whole
of
process.
it. But my main goal is to be able to travel whenever I want. So have that liberty and freedom to work from wherever. Fiber is something that's easily manageable. It's easily scalable. So, you know, a gym has its managers and stuff. So I want to be able to wake up one day and say, hey, I want to travel to Thailand.
And the thing with gyms, you don't need a lot of people working.
You don't need a lot of people because it's a self-operating system.
Yeah.
So you're not selling a product per se. So you don't have to restock inventory, anything like that. So it's, you know, it's just a service. It's a service. So if you have the right people, if you train them correctly, it
you don't need
works
a lot
itself.
Of people, yeah.
That's why franchises work, because you package it up and you teach people, hey, like, this is how you have to do it. Do it like this, and there's no failure, quote unquote. So you limit and you try to, you know, limit the chance of failure. So the whole idea is to be able to have that freedom. So like, oh, like, where's Callie? I didn't see him for a week. Oh, he's probably somewhere in London or whatever. Oh, he's in whatever. And then not have to worry about money. So it's like, I'll buy a ticket, don't have to look at the price, walk into the best restaurants, not worry about checks, about, you know, the just price. I just don't want to, I want to be free. I don't want to be a victim of money. I don't want to depend on money for my happiness.
Be a slave to money.
Be a slave.
To money,
New Slaves by Kanye West. Really good song. But he talks about, it's like, I don't want to have to go through that. So I just want to be able to just afford my own freedom. And then, you know, just buy whatever I want to buy. So if I really like cars, I'll buy a Ferrari. I don't care, you know, like, but that's a passion that I have. So it's not something that I'm trying to prove or overcompensate.
That's also a byproduct.
It's also a byproduct. And it's not overcompensation because I'm aware of myself. So I'm aware of my core values. So, yeah. So traveling is...
I think traveling is one of the best things. My heart longs for traveling and going places and exploring. And that's the whole thing about we were talking about social media. The one thing that I want to incorporate in my social media is share the experiences that I've had traveling the world, the pictures, the places that I've seen, the place I've been to, and like the beauty of nature, the beauty of cultures. Just want to put it out there and you know, inspire people to go travel and
not to mention that
live your best life.
That's a feeling that everybody has, because our whole species developed through traveling. Like, we were nomads. We were just traveling and exploring new things. And we're going to space now. We're going to colonize Mars. So it's like, it's always expansive. Did you see,
I saw this video on, I think, Business Insider, how Elon Musk, he's a main force on exploring Mars. Okay, so people mock him a lot, but he is insane.
He's moving the needle. Like, he's actually doing things. and you'll see
He's insanely sick. Not sick, but like he's dope.
Yeah, he's dope, and it takes a different kind of brain to do what he's doing.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know if you've ever saw his interview with Joe Rogan, but he sat down and you can tell that he's different. Like the way he processes. He said that he wouldn't recommend being him to anyone because it's not fun. He said that he's always thinking. He gets no break. There's no like.
His brain is always working. He's always producing.
He's always
something.
thinking about ideas. So imagine you just in your most prime idea development thoughts, and it's always all
working.
day. So I'm having this conversation.
Yes.
It's exhausting. So I'm having this conversation.
But your brain's still doing something.
It's like thinking about, Tesla. I have problems with Tesla, SpaceX. All these companies, all these endeavors that he has. But it seems exhausting to us. But to him, it works, and he doesn't find exhaustion because he's always moving. So he's fueled by a bigger purpose, and his purpose has always been to forward mankind. And then he's creating electric cars, Tesla, saving the planet. So it's just something so bigger than him that we can't even begin to understand it. So we look at him like he's crazy. Kanye, same thing. It's like these people that think differently, society will always counteract with some crazy amount of negativity. So it's always like, he's crazy. He's a psychopath. He's on drugs. He's whatever. And I'm a huge fan of Elon. I actually have a book of his book over there in the back.
Yeah, I see.
He's a fascinating guy.
Yeah, I would love to study him.
Yeah, he's definitely worth doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it inspires.
He's something
you.
else. He's something else.
Yeah.
You can tell by the way he portrays himself in interviews and all that. He's something. He's a different.
Yeah. Even his speech patterns. Like if you notice him giving a speech, he's very bad at it. Like he's not able to formulate ideas, convey ideas very precisely, for example. So what he does. So my theory is he has such a complex thought process that he's unable to express it to the world. It's like he's unable to simplify and dumb it down so that the general audience understands.
Can understand what he's conveying.
So in his brain, it's like his own world. Like only he can understand it. And then when he speaks, he stutters. Tesla. Like that's how he talks. Like Tesla will have batteries. So it's always like kind of trying to process that. It's like he's a different breed of. And then the whole industry just conspires against him because he's trying to fight against what's already established. Ford,
just going against
Chevy, all these petrol companies. It's a very, very dark. Again, business is very cutthroat, so you have to understand and have that balance of understanding. But so do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
Well, I just want to make sure that the message that I want to convey. Oh, we have that part?
We'll do that at the end.
We'll do that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, like I'll skip that.
All right.
I won't skip. Is there anything else other than that?
There's so much to talk about.
So much. That's what I tell every guest. Like we'll do an episode, like a second episode.
Yeah, let's do a second episode, definitely.
And then
we gather more information, more conversations.
Experiences in life and stuff. And so like with all of my first 10 guests, I want to do a retake with them in this new studio. And then once we're done with this studio and the Fiber studio is ready, jump to Fiber, and then we'll do another one there. So it's always like, because again, everybody's changing. So I don't believe in like, I already did a episode with her, in the past, I'm not going to do it again. No, it's like I want to see like what experiences you've accumulated, what changed. Yeah, yes. I'm curious about that change. It's like
what fuel that change.
It fascinates me. Yeah, it's like wow, like we spoke 2 months ago and you're different now. Why? What happened?
What happened? What did you go through?
Life happened. Yeah, and then talk about life. All right, so
this is the process of being a human being. It's just constantly changing and
morphing and learning from it.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so to finish off the episode, as you already know, she's a FiberCast fan, I guess, because she already knew that. Basically,
I kind of like invited myself. I kind of asked if I could be a guest.
Was it really?
No, I was going to, but you did it first. I was like, hey, can I be a guest?
No, yeah. I think I told you, right?
Yeah,
I was
you did.
Like, let's do an episode.
The conversation that we had that day was top notch.
Yeah.
FiberCast material.
Beside that guy trying to scare me all the time, the ninja guy, the samurai guy kept like looking
Oh,
at
what's
me.
the name of that place again? It's Ninja
Sushi.
Ninja Sushi.
Ninja New York City, I think.
Yes, shout out to Ninja New
Shout
York
out to
City.
Ninja, sponsor this
Dope,
podcast.
dope place.
Dope spot. But yeah, so
Sponsor this FiberCast episode.
yeah, sponsor us with sushi. Yo. That'd be dope. So every guest, I just asked them that if they had the opportunity right now to walk on the world stage, right? You're on display right now. Spotlight's on you. Everybody, the whole world has an earpiece right now plugged in, and anything that you utter into this microphone will be translated and they'll understand it. With that said,
the pressure is on.
7 billion people, or how many people
Wow.
are listening to this right now. You have this opportunity to convey a message, utter some words. They can mean something. Maybe they don't mean anything. It could be anything. Like follow me on the gram, drink my water, anything like that.
Well, based on recent experiences, what I would want to tell everyone today is to do you, be you, and for you, because you are enough and you're valid and you're a human being and you go through everything that everyone else is going through, and it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to learn from mistakes, and at the end of the day, everything works out for the best. And every bad thing that probably has happened to you, trust me, it was a blessing. It was a form of blessing in disguise. So just embrace whatever comes your way and make sure you make the best out of it. And don't forget to live your best life. Always. And it's hot girl summer. I'm kidding.
I knew you were going to say that for some reason.
I'm just messing around. I messed it up. Oh my God.
It's
hot girl summer.
Hot girl summer. What
all
does that
year
mean anyways?
long. It means
I never understood.
you're
that.
independent, you're hydrated, you're doing you for you.
Okay.
Living your best life. You know what's up.
Empowerment.
You know
All right, guys.
what's
So
up.
with that said, thanks again for coming on.
Well, thanks again for having me here.
Taking the
It's my
time.
pleasure.
For staying up this late. 12.
You know, I have
20,
my
26.
boxing class tomorrow at 7.
Really?
Yes.
You could just do a boxing class right here, and then you'll just skip the one.
I mean,
but-
the one's paid for.
Yeah.
Kind of hurt the pocket. So.
All right, so guys, we are out, and thanks again. Peace.
Well, thank you.